Yes, we made it. Wonderful, wonderful. Hello, everybody.
That was close.
Yes, that was me. That was on me. That was actually on my internet. But welcome everybody to the flow. We are here from Ohm School Live. I love this. I love this. And we kind of I got message text crazy here and posting about today's topic because it's just such it's been an enlightening that's funny, I'm wearing lightning bolts for my earrings, everybody. Yes, enlightening lightning destruction week in this whole question of, do we even need to discern or decide, is something being is it destruction or is it transformation? And I was like, how can I best start today's show? Because GP, honestly, the first question I was constantly asking this week was, oh, wait a second. I used to think destruction would have a negative connotation to it, like a bad thing, like, oh, it's being destroyed or ruined. But then I don't know, I'm pulling back on that. So GP, allow me to begin with, could you please share with us about destruction specifically? Destruction, good, bad, indifferent?
Well, it depends. If I don't want it destroyed, it's bad.
Yes.
If I want to build something else, it's good.
Mm.
Remember, everything is where you have the point of view from which you're looking at it, right? A movie is a comedy or a drama, depending on where it fades to black and you see the end, right? Because there's always comic relief in a drama, and there's always a dramatic moment in the comedy. There has to be that kind of contrast. The thing is that the feeling of something being destroyed is a result of our attachments. I don't want to let go of something, so the feeling is it's been destroyed, it's been wiped out. The fact of the matter is, transformation is constantly going on. This is what's symbolized in the Hindu trinity of Brahman, Vishnu, and Shiva, right? The creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer. And it's a constant. There's a constant creation going on and a constant destruction. And because of that, we have the experience of preservation or continuity.
Yes.
But nothing actually exists for any sustained period of time. The truth is, nothing was ever created and nothing was ever destroyed. I know that's kind of whack sounding. So it's like this. Imagine me trying to describe, I'm going to try to break Beethoven's Fifth Symphony down, right? Done. Now that was part of the symphony.
Right.
But where the hell's the rest of it, right? You can't take anything out of context. You can't time slice it, right? You can't find the place at which it started and the place at which it ends. You can't. Right. It is a continuum. Our minds divide it up into creation and destruction, but in fact, it is this constant flow, right? Try to grab a river. You can't put your foot in the same river twice, right? You can't take anything. If you take the symphony and you just try to take a slice of it, you don't have the symphony anymore. You take a wave and you just take a little chunk, you don't have a wave anymore, right? It is the whole of it, right? And in fact, you can't even know it at all without knowing the eternity of it.
Okay. Now I am glad that you went there, because that was for a lot of people who have to go, okay, I get all of it. And so that was a good one. Now I'm going to break all that down, which I can't, because we just said we can't time slice it. But so there's a couple of keywords that really jumped out to me there. I think a lot of people will feel is, you said about attachment. We feel things are destroyed or transformed. They've changed. Oh, you've changed, or things
you've
are
changed.
right? That's like, hey, or when we look around, we go, something's different about you, or we think it just doesn't feel right anymore. Maybe we're in a job, maybe we're in a relationship, maybe
Mhm.
so, you have a recipe that you've made the same way for 10 years, and then something's just different. One of the herbs was a little bit, overpowering. But, but you nailed it, I think, and I really connected with that. Is it has to do a lot with attachment to thinking it's not going to change, it's not going to
Yes,
transform, and it's not going to be destroyed. And I'm going to
yes,
throw this right in there because some of us even um we want it to change. We want destruction. We want it to, like, let's just start from scratch. Let's just wipe
absolutely.
all of it. That was yucky. Let's never do that. And so when I like that you started that off with destruction maybe feels more like when we don't want it to, and transformation is when we invite it and embrace it. But
Yes.
what are the similarities then? Because that's the different where we're coming from. What would the similarities be from destruction and transformation?
Well, you can't have one without the other.
Yes.
Simple as that, right? I mean, it's simple as that. When I was living in Florida and I had a balcony, like an 11th floor, we did our best to keep the pigeons from nesting there. But one time I failed, and there were two eggs, and the pigeon was, you
Oh,
know. So what can I do at that point, right? You just let them be there and then clean the mess up after they leave. Um, but they got to a certain point where it was time for the little ones to leave the nest, right? And the little ones were walking around looking down on from the balcony, and the mother was just busy pushing them.
oh my
she she was not going, oh, no, wait, stay. No, I mean, she was there. She kept chasing him until he finally jumped off the side,
Oh
right?
my God.
And you see him falling down. You go, kids, stick out your arms, stick out your arms. And finally out the arm, out they go. And it's a shaky little thing, right? And he finally
Oh,
over there and lands on the sand.
oh,
That's
Chris.
it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. You're kind of dive bombing. And see, the thing is that we think we want things to transform, but not us.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I want to
Yes.
win the lottery, but I don't want to be any different.
Right.
Which
Yes.
is why 95% of the people who win the lottery lose it within 2 years, because they aren't. No transformation has taken place. An influx of energy has happened without a corresponding transformation of character, right? To
Oh,
match the energy that would allow it to be actually sustained over the long haul. So we want our circumstances to change and we remain the same, and that's impossible.
oh, that was brilliant. That was so bang on. I feel like I just been caught with my hand in the cookie jar. Oh, that is so true. We would like all the things that we don't enjoy, like that work for us, to be destructed. Um,
Yes.
and we would love all the things that we want to become and experience, we want to transform into so beautifully and effortlessly and perfectly.
Yes. Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die.
Oh, yeah. We'd like heaven on earth here, please. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take that.
So, okay, so here's attachment. What aspect of our, is that ego? Who is it to, who of us, what aspect of ourselves is attached?
Well, that is our ego. It's ignorance. The ignorance that believes that somehow you can stop things from changing, that you can make the impermanent permanent. I mean, that's the fundamental ignorance we all suffer with, and it's really a natural. It's a natural functioning of the mind, because the mind can't grasp flow, right? Because there's nothing to grab, right? It's got to name stuff. It's got to concretize them. It's got to categorize them, contrast them, and all that. So the mind forms fixed concepts. Concepts are fixed. They seem very ephemeral, but they're not. They're quite fixed. Whereas life is ephemeral. Life is constantly changing. Nothing ever stays the same. Um, and so what happens is we associate the feeling of safety, of being safe, with things being the same. Right?
Yeah.
And so we don't want something to change. We get attached to it. It feels unsafe for it to change. And this is a very natural thing as well. That's part of the physical phenomena as well. Um, but they have to, and especially nowadays, we're seeing in our world the rate of change is just staggering, to the point where our nervous systems can barely keep up. And so we retrench, we become fundamentalists, we take very strong points of view, we become polarized because we want to hold on to something to make us feel safe, when in fact, transformation is happening and there's nothing we can do about it except surrender to it. If you surrender to it, there's no more suffering.
Ah. Ah.
It's the reality, right? If you fight it, there's suffering. That's what I'm holding on to. But if I realize that what I'm holding on to is vapor, it's going to vaporize, right? Two things happen. Number one, I stop suffering and I begin to flow with life. And I stop judging all the things that are happening. And secondarily, I begin to appreciate this moment more because I realize it's impermanent.
Mm. Oh. Oh, I like that you said appreciate the moment, as opposed to be present to the moment. And there's nothing wrong with being present to the moment, but it actually gave me something to do other than be present. Because, at times when your nervous system is so on the fritz, going what change. um, I think that helps people. For me, anyways. I'd love to hear from people, if that helped. That was a real Yeah, that was a big helper there. Appreciate the moment, and knowing and expecting and understanding that it is impermanent, that it is going to change.
Yes.
Two questions came up for me there. What about the things that we do want to change? Um, so we're inviting it, we're chasing it, we're manipulating and doing stuff to experience a change. That was my one
Yeah.
question. Yeah. I'll
Well,
pause.
that's also part of the human nature, and this is why the human being is so unique and so marvelous. Is because we have the instinct towards safety, which means stay the same. I don't want anything to change. But we also have this incredible impulse for growth, evolution, expansion, right?
Yes.
Which without a proper understanding and inner reconciliation, are forever at war with each other,
Mm.
right? Um, this is not a phenomena that any other critter on the planet has, right? We're the only critters that we are actually the vehicle of our own change. For every other critter, it's the environment. The environment dictates the change. If the environment doesn't change, the critter doesn't change. That's why alligators and sharks have been the same for 50 million years. They're sitting on top of the food chain. Nothing has changed about that, so they have not evolved. They're very similar over that period of time. Whereas anytime there's a change in the environment, the adaptation takes place, because the form and the environment are one. You cannot separate them. What's unique is, because of this expanding consciousness in human beings, is we are creating our own environment that we then have to adapt to.
Yes. This is incredible. So, is it fair to, I don't know, now I'm being really, this is a little bit judgmental. I'm just going with this for a second because I'm a student and I'm allowed to do that. But if,
You're
if
allowed to do that.
I'm allowed to do that, I'm playing with this. If we look at people, perhaps we know someone or we know of someone, maybe they're now in 60s, 80s, 20, who knows, however long, but they haven't
Yeah,
changed.
really old people.
But somebody who hasn't changed in a long time, because they made their money, they have a retirement plan, so now they're just living, they know exactly what amount of money, they live in the exact same house, they haven't changed the furniture, they wear the same clothes, they have no stress. Are they the alligator? Are they not experiencing growth, or are they at peace and content?
Um, you're not ever going to be at peace and content as long as there's a human form, that doesn't exist there. There will always be change because that's all the human form is.
Yeah.
So no, it is not. It is not peace. It is stagnation. They're resisting growth, and I know a lot of people like that. I've seen people on Facebook who I went to high school with. They still live in the same town we grew up in. They haven't changed their attitudes, their ideas, their behaviors. It's all the same. Um, and there's this sense that I don't want things to change. Things shouldn't change. They tend to be right wing in their politics. They think, this is the greatest country that's ever existed, and there's nothing anywhere. And so they've kind of adopted these ideas that are attempting to resist change, right? Not realizing that it's a fool's errand. It can't possibly work. And what will happen is, they'll either die and when they are in an environment that has not changed enough to put the pressure on them, or there will be a transformation in the environment that will take place and force them into it, or there'll be an inner awakening that will then allow them to consciously dictate their own trajectory in terms of the environment. Those are the only things that can happen. It doesn't change and things remain the same in the external environment, or something changes in the internal environment and you begin to awaken, basically. Or it all goes to hell in a handbasket. The economy collapses, the rug gets pulled out in some way, which is
Yes.
exactly what's happening in the world. The rug is being pulled out.
All right. Okay. So that's yeah. So is that more destruction?
Well,
Unplanned, unexpected.
well, it would be from their perspective, and they would resist it. No, it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be changing. This is the way it's supposed to be. And can get obviously look around and get violent in trying to maintain that status quo, um, because because they don't want anything to change, right? But of course, that change is the only thing that that brings out the best in us.
Mhm.
That's without that, you stagnate, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We need the stimulation. We are all constantly in an interaction with the environment, right? And that desire for human growth, our desire for our own personal development and evolution and the like, is the catalyst that is literally creating the environment driving change. Now, the shark can't do that, so it's completely a function of the external environment, but we do.
Right. It's so interesting because we can do it so quickly as in one thought.
One
It's a
thought.
complete boom. Oh, here we go. On to this one. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, you call it the aha moment, right? It's just like, oh yeah. Ah, ding 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 ding. Right?
The
Oh, angel.
Isn't that funny that when we think we have an aha, when we are experiencing an aha moment, we say it's the angels singing. I wonder what does that represent then to us when we must say the angels sing? Like the angels are just so happy that they're singing, and so this is a blissful transformation.
Well, yeah, always. The angels have always represented the harbingers of the great transformation. They're the messengers from God, as it were, right? Yeah, I've even heard it described as God's thoughts passing to man. I mean, it's really a beautiful
Ooh.
way of looking at it. When they're the harbinger of a change that you don't like, aka destruction, we call them demons. Same characters, same message.
Right. Ah,
When we welcome them, they're angels. When we don't, they're devils.
that is so interesting. That's been well, I don't know if that's this show, but yes, we will talk more about angels and devils and who they really are. Oh, that's actually that should be the show. um, there
There we
was
go.
there was a comment here. I just wanted to Facebook user. Where's Facebook user? Who wrote this beautifully? Life isn't about finding yourself, it's about celebrating yourself, then you will automatically be found. Is that what do you think of that? I like that.
Yes,
There.
as long as you're celebrating you and not who you think you are. That's very true.
Ooh.
Um, we're trying to when if we try to celebrate ourselves, and the self we're celebrating is actually the finite, limited egoic mind, even if it happens to be in a presently happy state, you'll find that that state will change, right?
Ah, right. Yes.
But when you celebrate you, your true nature, you find that that is the only thing in the universe that doesn't change. It
Ah,
is the constant. That is the hub of the wheel. And that's what it means to know yourself. To know and to celebrate are one. You cannot celebrate yourself until you know who you are. And the moment you do, it is party time.
I like that. It's party time. Get those singing angels over here. They're the band for tonight.
That- that's right. Yeah, DJ Micah at the podium.
Oh, it's funny. I can imagine a party in heaven right now. I the inquiry, the self inquiry too. I like that. I can't remember. Oh, it might be in Four Agreements, but I can't remember. When they said to not even take a compliment personally. So, um, whether it's an insult or a compliment, take neither, accept neither, because it's not the compliment or insult isn't to you, it's to that persona, to that aspect, to the ego that could be destroyed or transformed in a second or less. Um, when we do know who we are, you know, is hmm, that's interesting. When we do know who we are, do we truly never? We are the hubs. Do we truly never transform or become destroyed?
No, it is emerging. You find that the transformation and the permanent, the you find that which is truly permanent, that which is does not change, but it's not a thing, right? The essence, being itself, never changes. It can't change to its opposite, to not being. Truth cannot become falsity. Love cannot become hate, right?
Right.
And so it is not a substance like anything else, right? But yet it is that changeless nature that gives rise to the infinite flow that we see as change. You cannot have one without the other. And this is the mystery of non-duality. They're not two. The changeful and the changeless are not two. Time and timelessness are not two. The eternal and the moment are not two. It is impossible for the mind to conceive this, so don't even try. It's something that you simply contemplate. That how could you possibly know the changeless, changeful, if there wasn't some changeful place from which it was being seen?
Mm, okay.
There has to be a place from which everything else is witnessed, right? And that place that is witnessing all change must itself be changeless.
Yes. Yeah.
So the witnessing itself, the seeing itself, awareness itself is not something that fluctuates. And you can find this in your own life. If you look at your own life, look at all the experiences you had throughout your life. There was never a moment where anything stayed the same. But now try to put your attention on that very subtle sense of witnessing it. The experiencing itself was always the same. What it was experiencing was never the same.
Right. Right. Yes. Okay, I have to write that down because experiencing. Yes, because you can witness the same thing. Oh, well, so you can read the same page of a book multiple times and experience something different. So,
Yes. But who's experiencing it? Is that different?
right, it has to be.
The experiencing itself is identical.
Oh, wait, hold on.
The experiencing.
Okay,
This
yes.
is
Okay,
very
yes.
subtle, not
Right,
the
it
what is
is.
experienced. It's
Yes.
extremely subtle. We don't even notice it. It's so subtle most of the time.
Okay. Okay, I've got my analogy. You get on the same roller coaster and have the same experience. However, the experiencing of it can be different because maybe you're afraid one time, the first time, but then you're no longer afraid the next time, and then you
Yeah.
love it the next time.
Yes, but notice there's something else there though. There's something that was aware of being afraid this time, enjoying it this time, bored that time.
Yes.
There's something that's aware of all of those different aspects.
Right.
That hasn't changed.
Ooh, we nailed it. It's only taken 11 months for me, GP.
You're actually a pretty quick study.
Oh God. I really, that was fabulous actually. If anybody would have some comments about that, because now I get it. There's the experience of it, and then who is the one experiencing. That's so brilliant to be able to kind of wrap your head around it, at least in that situation. Because is it the, I don't know now, but is it the one now who is not changing, who is experiencing, who will go through destruction or transformation, or because they're just
No,
witnessing it?
they're just witnessing it.
They're just
They're not
witnessing.
going through. They're not going through any of it. It's happening all in front of them. Right? You're sitting there watching the events go by, enjoying the events, engaged with the events, like you're in a movie, like you're watching a movie. It's not a passive sitting back. I mean, there's a deep emotional thing going on, but yet you remain completely inviolate. You've not been touched by any of that. The most severe storm in the sky does not affect the sky. It passes away and the sky is still there, just the same. Not even a trace remains.
Right. Yes. It is quite magical how that happens.
You are the sky. That's what you are, right? But you experience yourself as a form, as a life, as all of these things, as as ups and downs and dark and night and all the polarities that are required. Because if you don't have them, you have no experience at all.
Right. And we want to experience so much.
Of course.
We've come with that drive and desire.
That's why human life exists. It is for that which is timeless and changeless and formless to experience time, change, and form.
Do you think that this is a deep one. I'll go with some things that some people are going through this week. Do you think that if we experience heartbreak, rejection, things like that, because we wanted to experience it, or did that just happen from like all those millions of things that just all come together?
Yeah, that's really a slippery slope to go. I wanted that to happen, right?
Yeah,
So
I know. It's always a tricky one.
it is, and unfortunately, it's gotten a lot of airplay because of manifestation and all that, trying to make it into something personal, right? Like,
Yes.
oh, you attracted that, and now you've got people scared to death of their own thinking, right?
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You didn't attract it. This is the inevitable flow of things, right? And who said that thing that you didn't want to happen isn't the best thing that ever happened to you? As a matter of fact, 6 months later, you go, God, I'm so glad that happened, right?
Yeah, usually we eat our words usually.
Right? Or the thing, God, it's the greatest thing in the world. I got this thing. It's like, oh God, this sucks. I hate it, right? I mean, this is what we experience. What's the problem? Is it life? Is it what's life bringing to you, or is it our very narrow idea of what it should be?
Yes. Yeah.
And this is the great liberation. When I am freed from my idea of the way things should be, I find life is magnificent in all of it. Whether I've literally found myself staring at a beer cap for half an hour.
Wow.
The most mundane, just ordinary thing, and it was just like this world is opened up. I just saw the ink, the invention of ink, the people are doing it, the invention of the fonts, the metallurgy, the mining, the thousands of years, the Bronze Age. I mean, it was all there. It was
Surprised
all
you were there
there.
for 4 hours.
It wasn't just this one object. it was a moment of an eternal flow,
Mm.
and the entire flow was there. But you have to be willing to see it. Otherwise, I just go, it's beer cap.
Yes.
Onto the beer, right?
Is there anything wrong with, not that it's right or wrong, but yeah, is it okay if it's just a different path we're on? We're just on a different momentum. If we see all that, feel all that, or move on.
Well, you couldn't live if I did that at everything, right? It's like fingernail. Right. I mean, I mean, I mean, no. It's just something catches you and you find eternity in the moment, right? I
Mm.
mean, that's just that breath of eternity. We experience that when we fall in love, for crying out loud, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
exactly the feeling, right? Just time stops. There's just this total absorption, and this is the whole point of life, and witnessing the flow, and that is the bliss of life, when there is no resistance to it, right? in,
Yeah.
in the normal state of mind, it's just a beer cap, right? It serves its function within this, but looking deeper, you find, well, it's not that, right? There's this whole history. There's this wonder that is occurring right here. And yes, it's going to be just popped off and thrown away and off into the recycle bin. It's going to go, and hopefully it'll become another, something else, a hubcap, right? Or something. Right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if there's a fine line between so when you're talking about this beer cap, and now this beer cap has different stories to you, different it has a depth to it. And let's say this ring, I people think, oh, that's a ring, and I go, oh, but do you want to know what this ring really means or is? And then I have
Yes.
all my stories. Now, is there a fine line between contemplating and finding the eternity in the moment and attachment? And how do we, if there is, because I'm assuming there is, how do we make sure we don't get that ego attachment? Like, oh my gosh, if I lose this ring, you don't know what it meant to me.
Well,
Ah!
yeah, because the meaning is in you, not in the ring. So, and that's just there, right? You're neither attached to it or not attached. It's just there, right? That's the meaning it has to you. If that ring is lost, the meaning is still there. The attachment to the object, right, is going to cost you, because it will be lost at some point,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But the meaning, the value of it, that's not lost.
Oh, I like that. Maybe that's really helpful to some people. I one of my questions I was going to bring up is from my friend who actually, funny enough, I think Danielle is here this morning. And Danielle, this wasn't actually for you, but we'll just throw it in here. I actually have two people that I know in my life, and their houses have burnt down, and that's a real, like, it could be just, that's destruction or transformation, but loss of things attached. Like, there's a lot now. There's a
Yes.
lot of things. It's not just a ring, it's all the things inside the things and the memories of the thing and all the things. Is it possible to, how does our nervous system, how can we assist our nervous system to adjust tra- to from destruction to transformation?
Well, first, to allow it to grieve over the loss,
Mm,
because it is a loss, right?
mm,
But it's not fatal. Everything is lost. When you talk about impermanence, and like in Buddhism and things like that, it can sound like it's just kind of this philosophical spiritual bypass, right? Oh, it's okay, everything's transforming and all of that, which is a denial of our love, right? What we're doing is we're separating out the attachment from the love, right? I love these things. I love the house. There's some things that I trip over it stupidly and break it, right? And I loved it, right? It's gone, right? I can't. There's nothing I can do, right? Um, and it hurts. You let it hurt, right? And this is the beautiful thing about the human nervous system. It is so adaptable that if you allow it go through the process by which it itself knows how to transform that energy of grief, it will. We postpone this transformation by our stories about it, by refusing to hold on to the grief, by making up things, by reframing, by philosophically saying, oh, it's God's will, or everything is impermanent, and it's just in the head. It isn't you're actually not feeling it in the heart. Because the reality is, in that moment, you are experiencing the impermanence of life and what it means. And if you let it, it will bring you to the point of seeing the utter beauty and value of every moment, because you can't hold on to it.
Right.
That
Oh,
makes it more valuable, right? Right? This moment will never happen again, ever. It's never happened before. It's never going to happen again. That's the textbook definition of rare.
yes, I love that. And I think what you just shared is what a lot of parents will experience with their babies who are quickly growing, quickly never going to be in that moment again,
Yes.
and teenagers, and then leaving the home, and all those
Well,
things.
teenagers, you kind of want to rush it along.
Yeah,
That's
hurry
different.
up.
Babies, oh, stay a baby. Oh,
Yeah.
teenager. Yeah, okay,
Nobody says,
move on, move
stay a
on.
teenager,
Is it
please.
time for
Yeah.
college yet? Yeah.
it's but it's all those. I love that. Actually, that was so interesting. You said the in the grief world, but it's anything. It's transforming the grief. No. I can't read my own writing. It doesn't matter. The whole point was I was getting to is when we try to postpone, when we're trying to postpone the
Yes.
transformation. But what I want to get back to, actually, because you said this, when we do say it's God's will, it's meant to be. Um,
Hmm.
it was a soul sacred contract. It was already planned. Are those okay? Bold here. Is that incorrect?
Well, if they're saying it to try to kind of anesthetize the feeling of loss,
Okay.
then absolutely it's wrong. Yeah, it will postpone it, right? You won't grow. You're putting off facing the fact that it's not there anymore by glossing it over with some nice idea,
Hmm.
right? But if you really take it in and you go, God's will, but it's not like personal, right? God's sitting up there going, okay, let's do this now, right? This little manipulator of history, right? Like, kind of, let's throw this monkey wrench in there. It's a recognition that it's not anybody's will. It is the nature of existence,
Mm.
right? Right? That's beyond the idea of God's will or something like that. This is the way it is, right? If I accept things as they are, I am in harmony with reality. I'm in harmony with the Tao, right? And I can't experience anything but the harmony of the Tao if I am completely in accord with it, right?
Right.
And that means that doesn't mean a glossing over of the loss. That's part of the Tao, is to feel the loss fully, right?
Mm.
And in that processing, the value of it is amplified, and the form it happened to be in that moment is now eventually dissolves, and you find that the reality of it was never lost because it was never
Mm.
in the thing.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. It's never in the
It was
thing.
always in you.
That's that. Well, you know what they say, like, how many people have lost their cell phones with all their pictures on it, right? And
Yeah.
I know,
All the pictures they never looked at after they took it anyway. Yeah.
and yeah,
10,000 pictures. Yeah.
and you think, oh, but at least I have it. So I know the first time I had lost a cell phone, I put it on the back of a truck, and it was going to the dump because I was trying to load the truck, and then the truck left with my phone, and off it went. And it had my Brinks's baby pictures, those little kitten cutie pie pictures. And I really like it. It was a long time ago. So it was really like freaking out. Like, and then I tried remembering every picture that, I could think of, that I remembered, trying to save it. And eventually I thought, well, I still have the cat. Like, I don't have like, I still get to enjoy the future moments and pictures, and
Yes.
I have way more now, um, but I have the experience that I want to remember anyway. So I want is that when we recognize that and we can feel that it is in us, it does soften
It
destruction.
certainly does. Yes. Matter of fact, you take less pictures.
Yes, I actually you're right.
When you're taking a picture, you're not actually having the experience. The experience is evanescent. There's nothing, you can't hold on to it. And it's just a big illusion that makes us think that we can take a picture of it and recapture it. If you even do go back and look at it, the only value it has is it's going to spark within you a remembrance of the feeling you had when you were really there.
Yes.
But if you're there and you got the camera in front of you all the time, you're not there.
Mhm.
And you're not having that experience. And you're not having the experience if you're not having it in its transient moment.
Mm. Yes.
Because that's the beauty of it. It's here and it's gone, right? Like a good show and of great jazz. It's improvised, right?
Yes.
It's not happening ever again.
Yeah. Yeah. That, that's interesting. So we want to be very not present. What was the thing you said? I love that word that you said. Um, nope, it's gone. Appreciate. We want to appreciate the
Yes.
moment with all of our senses. And I know what you're saying because when we look through a lens or we are, try like at times like I really do have to take notes because I try to remember, and that's what my job is. But for everybody here who's participating and watching it is to I like to listen. So even I'll pull up a lot of YouTube videos, but really I'm listening. Like, I'm not watching them because I find it's a different experience. And
Yes.
so when it comes to just bring back to my little fun topic here, destruction and um, transformation. I'm going to use this as an example. Say somebody here is maybe not a student of yours, GP, and they're like, I want to become a
What?
student. Oh, what?
Outrageous.
Yeah, that's funny. But I think it's something new, and they're thinking, I would like is there okay, so does a student transform into a master, or do they just or is the student destroyed and then a transformation
Same thing.
occurs?
Same thing.
It's the same
Yeah. You can't become the teenager without losing the adolescent,
thing. Right.
without
Okay.
losing the kid, without losing the child, without losing the toddler, without losing the infant, without losing the embryo, without losing the egg. You simply can't do it. It is one,
Mhm.
right? We are seeing the one being in an infinite unfoldment, and every time slice is simply another face of that one being, and you are that being. And so, um, I'm not sure I answered the question.
Oh yes, yes. No, you did. Yes. So it's well, in essence, it's not that the. It sounds so horrible to say. Well, the student has been destroyed, and now you have transformed into the master. It sounds
Yeah,
like it's
that's
a
right.
horrible thing, but that is the process. And so my piggybacking question on that is about the word reconcile to have reconciliation. Is there something that needs to be reconciled of different aspects of us to allow that transformation of destruction of one phase to transforming to the next?
Yes.
What needs to be reconciled?
Yeah, that's absolutely the case because the various aspects of us, the only reason there's conflict between the various aspects of it is because we have learned to hold on to certain parts and to push other parts away, right? So we cling to this little part of ourselves, and all which makes all the rest of the ourselves kind of the inner enemy that creates the conflict between the devils and the angels, right? The devils are just those aspects of you that you have disowned, and the angels the ones you like, right? It's just kind of this narrow thing. When you reconcile with them, you have full access to all of you, and And then you find that with the full access to all of these inner resources, that every moment is a constant, your inner resources are constantly reconfiguring themselves to meet the moment, right?
Mhm.
And that's what it means
Yeah.
to show up with no agenda, to be perfectly present, because you are completely present. There's no aspect of you that's missing, right? And so you're no longer identified with one part of you. You're not identified with any of it, which means that in any given moment, you can become anything the moment needs. You have infinite, you become an infinite being, right? But the infinite being is just not this vague thing. The infinite being is the freedom to be very specific in the moment to whatever that moment requires. It can be playful and creative, or it can be very stoic and firm, right? Same you, different aspect, right? But they're not stuck anymore. It's that simple. They're not stuck.
Oh my gosh, GP, I'm going to say this. You know what? If any, I'm going to go back and I'm going to transcribe the last minute you just said. That was the most perfect like sales pitch. If I could write one for inner reconciliation. Okay,
Frank Kern would be proud of me.
that is amazing. Everybody, full access to every aspect of you to get pull from the resources from anything you need at any time because you are infinite. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. Oh, that's that. You know what's so interesting? I'll get on and do a Facebook Live, and I might start off being all, chippery, happy to Yankee Doodly, and then and then I get into my little story or my rant, and then I can be very stoic or very serious. And then I'll turn into more loving. And you're right because it's full reconciliation of all aspects of you. You have full access.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm using this now, you guys.
They're all you.
It's all you. This is incredible. I'm freaking out. That was like the best description ever. And I really wanted to say that because the opposite to me when I heard you say that to reconcile with something is to not have conflict. So if you have conflict, you don't have full access because you're like, no, 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 you're not allowed in there. You've got an
Right.
issue. You've caused
Exactly.
trouble. Now get out. You can't have that. So this is a really neat thing that this is your work. This is something that you do, and this is one of the courses that I have to share is coming up. Like we're quick on the heels here. Penny's already started the study group if you were looking for one. But the inner reconciliation is a course that you run. It starts in September, the end of September. So you definitely want to please, you got to go check this out. But really, that what you just said around the 45 minute mark is, yeah, when you there, thank you. Sorry, yes, gpwalsh.com IR 3Fs FFF. And that's if somebody is stuck, like you just said, you're stuck and you're like, gosh, I used to have access to this part of me, the gentle part, the loving part, the forgiving part, the adventurous part, the safe part. I used to feel safe and I no longer do. That's something that's saying to you, this would be a really great place to start, at least, as a
Yes.
student, and to jump into this course.
The
So
child has full access. You can look at the child. They don't show up as anybody in particular. They're just immediately responsive to the environment, right?
right.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's no editing, there's no censoring. Um, when they don't like something, you know it. When they do, you know it.
Yes, that's brilliant. That's actually so true. Yes, immediately responsive. They're happy, they're sad, they're cranky, they're
Yeah.
in bliss. They're all of it.
Yeah, there's no board of censorship sitting in between the what happens and the reaction to it. It's pure, it's innocent. Yeah.
Okay, ready? So I'd love to say this. A lot of people can get stuck in their spouse just passed away. They've had a loss. There's been destruction in their life. I can use my example earlier. Their house burned down. They had a breakup. They lost all their money. And then something joyful happens and they kind of laugh or giggle or smile and they go, oh, how dare I not be upset
How
right
dare
now?
I?
I am such a bad person for finding joy in this very destructive time. And
Yes.
we are so hard on ourselves when we allow that present moment, that appreciation of the moment. And we think, no, 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 I'm supposed to be over here. Is that something that we work
Yeah,
on in
and
our
that's part of the deal, because all of a sudden there's that spontaneous joy that happens. That's perfectly natural. That's what the whole system was designed to do, right? It was designed to grieve and move on,
yes.
right? And get on with life. And if the grieving is done properly, it becomes the most sweetest memory. All the good is integrated into you, and there's no more charge to it, right? And why should there be? This is what happens,
Yes.
right? Everything gets lost. I don't care what it is. It's everything is very ephemeral. Even the romance, a week in is different, right?
Hmm.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing stays the same. Yeah, and if you know that, you can experience these wonderful waves of ecstatic bliss, followed by just the beautiful mundaneness of life, right?
Hmm.
Osho used to refer to it as the peak orgasm and the valley orgasm.
They're still both good. They're just different.
They're both very good. I highly recommend both.
Oh, that is so, you know what's funny? Yes, about, oh, there's just so many peaks and valleys. And if I'm gonna run through a couple of these, because as we do the show here, so this is very different than Satsang, which is on Sundays, and on YouTube you can
Yeah,
find GP on his channel there, and where he really has this interaction going through each comment and picking through. So you've joined the what was the radio show, which we brought live on video here,
right.
and so we're very happy to have all your comments here and all your participation, and just happy to have you. We know you're here, we can feel you and kind of pick through. But I will call upon my wonderful GP here and to see if he's got any questions that perhaps that we can get in here. But a lot of
Well,
just
I saw
there's
one right at the beginning. Yeah,
okay. Let's scooch
the
through.
very right at the beginning. Um,
StreamYard. Dear GP, I have
s-
a
s-
question.
yeah, Snezalea. I never can pronounce that right, so I just keep calling her Bob.
Oh, is that Bob? I saw comments
That's
the other
Bob.
day.
Yeah, yeah. That's Bob in Serbia. And this is an important question, and it really does relate. Did you ever have a feeling that the most beautiful part of you has died,
Oh,
triggered by an event? That is what I feel today, and it's very emotional and intense. Don't even know what it is or how to approach it. Thank you, love, Bob.
oh,
Um,
thank
uh, yes, of course. What you're feeling is what every child feels when part of you has been disallowed by the tribe. Part of you dies because it's not allowed expression, right? Now, the good news is it can't die, right? It's eternal. It's you. You can't get rid of it, right? But it does get buried in the basement, right? Because it doesn't have any freedom to come out and express itself. Because if it does, it is dangerous, right? This is what happens. This is the existential trauma. We've all been through it, right? You're just being your pure little kid, wonderfulness, innocent self, right? The tribe doesn't like it, right? You say the wrong thing, you touch the wrong thing, you even feel the wrong thing, and it becomes dangerous. The danger being, right, the disapproval of your tribe. That's all it takes. It doesn't have to be hugely abusive. All it means is that I simply don't get my need met, right? For whatever it is. It can be a minor diminishment, it can be physical abuse. The effect is identical, right? It is not safe to be myself. Now, if it's not safe to be myself, I can't be anything other than myself. That is an existential double bind. The only way out of that is that part of you must be kept permanently out of sight. And that's what happens. And in that moment, we have that feeling a part of me has died. And something inside knows we have we have let ourselves down. We've compromised. We've abandoned our true nature, but we have no choice. We're powerless, right? But this is the entire. It is walking back down in that basement and bringing everybody up to the party is the whole point of interreconciliation. Because interreconciliation is to get through all the layers we've created to keep that hidden, to keep it at bay, right? And at every step, you're reconciling with all this stuff to eventually open that door again. Um, and so, yes, that's what it feels like. And and I know the quality of your understanding now, Bob. So I know where you're at, and this is absolutely par for the course. And there'll be many more of these before you're done with this phase of your sadhana, where there's just another layer that comes up, and it'll be filled with sadness. It'll be filled with a sense of loss and grief, because the child can't grieve for these things, even though they're gone. Um, and so, yes, it can be very emotional and intense. Let it happen. This is the symptom of recovery. This is what happens because you have opened the door to the basement. You are feeling that energy that got stuck in the basement. And sometimes it can come out as enormous grief and sadness. Sometimes it can come out as anger, rage. Sometimes in physical, hot and cold flashes, all sorts of things. But don't shy away from it. Right? You know what to do with it. This is where it means to truly be present with it. Right? It's just you. Okay. It's just you. There's no critter out there. There's nothing, we're not going to have to do an exorcism. It's just you, right? That is integrating back into the whole of you. And the end result is not going to be a problem.
Yes, that was beautiful, GP. And I'm so glad that Bob asked that question. And if I may share, in the beginning, GP, when I started working with you, the word for me, which, and I'm not trying to make light of it, but the word is, I felt that parts of me were dissolving, and I literally felt like the witch that went, I'm melting, because it was just going before I knew it and evaporated, and then I felt displaced, like floating, like and not the
Yes.
good kind of floating, more like, where do I go? Who am I? Like, then the question was forced, actually. Who am I? Because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not that person or that person or that person or that. So who am I? And I felt not died, but melted and displaced.
Yeah.
And guess what? I feel amazing. So I want to share with you guys, but
and
hang in there.
and let me put Lisa on the spot. And who are you?
Pardon?
And who are you?
Well, don't put me on that spot. No, I truly feel like well, I want to answer it in this weird Lisa way, but I feel like I'm absolutely everybody and nobody, and it's okay because I don't feel.
The serum has taken effect.
You know what? Well, you've given me words actually for it today. I feel like I have full access, is what that is now. And it's more access, you guys, than you could ever imagine. It's not like, oh, I want access to all of this. You don't know what all of this is. So to
You
have
have
full
no idea.
access, like I have full access, but I still don't even know what I have full access to because there's so
Yeah.
much. It's endless.
This isn't the vortex. I want it so it goes into this little place where I can get it out later. You have no clue. You have no clue.
It's yeah,
It,
and
it's like, oh, if you want an advance, program as to what's coming up, well, you go over there. You want reality? There's no guide.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I yes, we're here at that hour again. I can't believe it. And Tatiana is just excited for so many things. And we had a beautiful message from David and Elaine, who are, I'm not sure how long they've known you, but it's been a while, I think. And they're just
Yes.
so kind, and they're new to me, and I just love them. And I love when I get to see. GP actually has VIP days, retreats where we all get to be
Right.
on Zoom together, and we can, well, they'll be on the website, so gpwalsh.com, of what are the upcoming events and such. But in all the courses that you teach, we all come together on Zoom or StreamYard or something, and we get to meet and greet everyone and be a part of everybody and this beautiful journey. And so I got to meet David and Len a couple times. So hello.
And I appreciate Dave and Elaine giving a shout out to Lisa.
Yes, thank you
for making the energy of this show much different than satsang.
I appreciate the opportunity to be a student in public in front of everybody. And funny enough, when I was growing up, I was the student that the only thing they ever said to me, Lisa never asks any questions. And now look at me now.
Look at you now. Yeah, notebooks. Your stack of notebooks. Yeah.
Oh,
that was funny. The first time we had a conversation, out came the notebook. Writing stuff down by hand, by the way, folks. I want you to know they're actual notebooks with a pen. I love that.
It's very helpful too. I wonder how many of you have the notebooks for when you come here. Actually, we would love to hear what your takeaways are. That's what I would love to see in comments, because it helps us to choose what the next week's show and what the energy is around. What are you just ready for? What are you needing? What is coming up for you? And that's always helpful for us. GP and I have our meetings and figure out what's going to go on next week on the flow.
Yeah. And just, sometimes it's a couple of minutes before the show.
Yes. Yes. So we want to say thank you, everyone, and just for being here, showing up. This is a huge thing. If you would love to, I'm going to make the final invitation of, if you are loving this and appreciating, you're able to become a patron of GP. We invite you to gpwalsh.com. And is it I think we just go there, right? Is it /patron? Yep, there we go. Here's GP. He's on it. And just for $15 a month, it gives you really organized content, because we kind of throw so much out here, and also some private VIP days where you get to have more interaction, if you're not able to become a student one-on-one. So lots of invitations, so we can all be a part of each other. And we'll wrap it up and say thank you and goodbye. And thank you, GP, for your time here. We always appreciate it.
And thank you, Lisa. Yeah, thank you. You do make it a great show. You make it a show. You make it a show.
Yeah, with my earrings, which were light.
Okay. And yes.
All right.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.